Oakland, California is a familiar battleground for two old rivals out of the old AFL. But what's new? The starting quarterback in silver and black. Carson Palmer, the ex-Cincinnati Bengal, makes his first start today for the Oakland Raiders as they play host to the Denver Broncos. A look at the standings in the AFC West. With Kansas City losing to the Miami Dolphins, they lose a game to San Diego and Oakland, both those teams getting underway and Denver bringing up the rear. And with that, we welcome you to Oakland, California, everyone. Greg Gumbel along with my Hall of Fame partner, Dan Deerdorf.
Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Carson Palmer retired rather than return to Cincinnati. But when Jason Campbell, the starting quarterback here in Oakland, went down for the season with an injury, they acquired Carson Palmer. And Carson Palmer is very happy to be in Oakland.
Well, he really is, Greg, because let's face it, Mike Brown of the Bengals called his bluff, and it looked like Palmer was going to be out of football. And so this is a wonderful opportunity. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, he got thrown into that Kansas City game with only a couple days practice. The bye came at a perfect time for Palmer and the Raiders, and Carson Palmer tells us he has the entire playbook down.
Now, the other side of the story here today is Tim Tebow. And very simply, the Denver Broncos are just trying to figure out if he fits into their future, Dan.
Well, as John Fox told us, I'm just trying to find out if my quarterback for next year is on the roster right now. So Tebow is getting an opportunity. Against the Lions, they fell behind. Turnovers, one fumble gets returned for a touchdown. This interception gets returned for a touchdown. And Tim Tebow is looking for a big jump today. I'm not sure the Raiders, though, are going to cooperate.
It rained a lot yesterday, but the rain has moved out for the time being. It is cloudy, but clear. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos have won the toss, and they will defer, and in honor and memory of Oakland Raiders owner Al Davis, Freddie Biletnikoff, the great former Oakland wide receiver, lit the cauldron that burns in Al Davis's honor. Very nice, Dan.
I think it's very nice. And, of course, Freddie B., one of the great guys ever to play this game. It must mean an awful lot to the former Raiders when it's your turn to light that cauldron for Al Davis.
There you see Carson Palmer, and right in front of him, Hugh Jackson, the head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And you said it, Dan, something to keep in mind. In Carson Palmer's first appearance against Kansas City, he didn't have a fraction of the playbook down, but he's got it now.
He didn't even know the protections, and he ended up being out there because Bowler got off to such a terrible start.
Jacoby Ford will return this one 2 yards deep. Didn't quite get, no, yes he did, reach the 20-yard line. So today marked Carson Palmer's second appearance as a Raider, his first start. Brand new to the team, he threw 3 interceptions in a 28-0 loss to Kansas City.
I think we have to show those numbers because it's what happened, but yeah, I think you throw that out the window. I find it hard to believe that he actually found himself out on the football field running an offense with like 72 hours notice.
He found it interesting too.
Yeah, he certainly did.
Carson Palmer told us yesterday he'd like to air it out early in this game. Let's see how long it takes him. Down the far sideline. Falls incomplete. Intended for Denarius Moore.
We got an injury on that collision at the football.
That is number 26, Raheem Moore, the rookie safety out of UCLA.
Moore is going to be coming across, and there's going to be a pretty violent collision right here with his own teammate. You can see Moore actually runs into Andre Goodman, and that appeared to be the Goodman's okay, but Raheem Moore, the very talented rookie safety, he just immediately dropped to the ground.
Looked like his head and shoulder involved, Dan.
The Broncos have a couple of talented rookie safeties that are playing the free safety position. Again, one more coming in from the right. That's Moore. Oh, and you can see his face just collides with the shoulder pad of Andre Goodman. He's still down.
We're glad to say Raheem Moore jumped up off of the turf and walked off the field under his own power. He's being looked at and meanwhile replaced in the secondary by 4th-round draft pick Quentin Carter. So it's a 2nd and 10 for Palmer and the Raiders.
Chiefs, Fred Silver's up. Grenade.
This is Bush. Had a little bit of a hole, went across the 25. Von Miller makes the tackle. A look at the Oakland offensive line, and a giant of a left tackle is Jared Veldheer, 6'8", 315 pounds. The backs and the receivers, Darren McFadden inactive with the bad foot. 4th-year running back Michael Bush gets the start. He had that last carry.
You miss a lot of explosiveness with McFadden out of the lineup, but Michael Bush is more than capable, and he's a big guy, almost 250 pounds, but he's got some elusiveness as well.
Newly acquired T.J. Hushmanzada in the lineup and in motion briefly. Palmer can throw down the far sideline again and overshoots his intended receiver, Denarius Moore. So it'll be a 3 and out.
That's just a mix-up in the reading of the defense. Denarius Moore, the rookie, saw one thing, Palmer saw another. Moore broke off his pattern. Carson throwing to a spot.
So Quan Cosby, number 17, is deep for the kick from Shane Leckler, who booms it as usual. All the way back to the 16-yard line, here comes Cosby. Couldn't break through the first line of defenders, and he's brought down at about the 23-yard line. And that means number 15, Tim Tebow, 2-3 record as an NFL starter. He's completing just 46% of his throws, trying to get on track in his professional career. And Dan, we've talked about it all week amongst ourselves. There's no one more talked about in the National Football League at this moment.
I can't remember ever a player being scrutinized quite to the level that Tim Tebow has been. He's a fascinating subject for a lot of people.
Tebow going to give it to McGahee, with Willis McGahee playing with a broken hand to about the 25-yard line. Denver with a young offensive line, the youngest, the rookie right tackle Orlando Franklin, struggling over the first part of this season. And Tebow's backs and receivers, and 2nd-year wideout Eric Decker leads all receivers on the team. 30 catches, 359 yards, and 5 touchdowns for head coach John Fox in his first season in Denver. Tebow in the shotgun. Running out of time, breaks the tackle, and out to about the 28-yard line.
Well, you know this is what Tim Tebow is going to see, a variety of blitzes. This one, though, comes off the edge right at him. And, you know, here comes Wembley right at him, and Tebow sees him and able to spin out of it. But again, he takes a hard hit, but he doesn't see him until the last second. You know, Tim Tebow, it's all about awareness, decision-making, and no defensive coordinator is going to cut him any slack.
What did Richard Seymour tell us? With Tebow, the play is never over with him. No Sean Marino in the backfield. Tebow going to run it around the edge, across the 30, out to about the 32-yard line, and maybe about a yard short of a first down.
There's no doubt that that is what Tebow does best, and that's with the football under his arm running. But again, he came up short, and Broncos are going to have to punt it away. So a pair of 3 and outs for both teams to get this thing started.
And Britton Colquitt comes on to kick it away. And number 17, Denarius Moore, is deep for the Raiders. Fair catch call for, and made at about the 26-yard line. And a little bumping there, but no flags fly. So that's where the Raiders and Carson Palmer will go back to work when we come back to Oakland in just a moment.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Sprint. All football, no limits. Only from Sprint. And by the 2011 Ford F-150. Built Ford Tough.
Back in Oakland with 11:43 to play in the first quarter. The report on safety Raheem Moore of the Broncos is that he suffered a concussion on the very first play of the game, and he will not return today. So that means Quentin Carter, number 28, the 4th round draft pick out of Oklahoma, is in the secondary at safety. That is Carter. Palmer goes to work from his own 27. Bush. A yard, maybe 2 to the 29. DJ Williams with the stop, and it'll be 2nd and 8.
Well, one of the things the Broncos wanted to do was tighten up their run defense, and they've been playing better run defense as of late. But in the first game against the Raiders, they got trampled. Darren McFadden ran for 150 yards. The team ran for like 190. And they know they've got to do better than that.
Palmer. And that one's complete across the 40 to Jacoby Ford. Ford to midfield. Down the middle of the field, inside the 40. Loose football.
Great hustle. Marcel Reese, the fullback. He gets all the way down there looking to make a block, and now he's hurt. But what great hustle getting downfield by Reese to recover that fumble. A good strike by Carson Palmer, and then look at the elusiveness, and there the speed. But Champ Bailey knocks the ball loose, and good hustle by a teammate keeps that alive for the Raiders.
Dan, that's amazing that the fullback gets down there that quickly to make that recovery.
Outstanding hustle.
Now from the Broncos 33, this is Bush. Hole on the left side to the 20. Inside the 20 to the 19, and that's another first down.
Oh, now Brian Dawkins is hurt. The other safety for the Broncos is down on the field. And he's grabbing a leg when he went down. Boy, what a hole off the left side. Take a look at the blocking there by Wisniewski. A great kick out by Valdir, the left tackle. Oh, and the left leg of Brian Dawkins gets hyperextended as Michael Bush just went right into it, and he was planted in the ground. Oh boy, Brian Dawkins just got caught up in that, and he had nowhere to go. That left leg of his just totally exposed.
We were talking with John Fox last night about his secondary aging a bit. Brian Dawkins in his 16th season, Champ Bailey in his 13th. And he liked Brian Dawkins' leadership. Who wouldn't? We'll be back. Hey, Tuesday on CBS. For this detective, the key to solving crimes is remembering every detail. Poppy Montgomery and Dylan Walsh star in a new unforgettable Tuesday. Only CBS. We're happy to say Brian Dawkins was able to walk off the field under his own power and is walking along the sideline. He's been replaced by David Bruton, the third-year defensive back out of Notre Dame.
I am amazed that Dawkins is walking around as well as he is.
Number 22, Tywan Jones, is in the backfield, and he has the football around the left side, can't make the turn. And Bruton came on to make the stop.
Again, with Brian Dawkins, he's coming in, and watch from the left. Look at his left leg, and look how it gets hyperextended. And he wasn't able to get it back up off the ground, and look how much it flexed. And you always look at a player after an injury like that. Is he able to put weight on it when he leaves the field? And there we had mass confusion.
Tim Tebow looking on.
If Brian Dawkins comes back on this field, Greg, he is the most flexible guy I have seen in a while. That you just don't see a knee get flexed like that. We didn't get a call from John Perry.
There is Hugh Jackson, the first-year coach here in Oakland.
Well, what just happened?
That's a really good question, Ben. And now here comes a penalty flag and
delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Wow.
That's really strange, considering not much happened between the last time they covered the ball in this time. And Brian Dawkins is back.
Well, I guess that's how you survive 16 years in the National Football League. 8 Pro Bowls. Brian Dawkins, one of the best strong safeties ever to play this game. And talk about a little statement of, I'm a tough guy.
And all of a sudden, the Raiders are beginning to collect penalties, as is their wont.
Well, they just got an illegal substitution penalty.
The Raiders lead the NFL in penalties.
So I guess what happened on the previous play when we wondered what happened, the center snapped it prematurely, we're being told, and Palmer took the snap and just took a knee. So that actually counted as a play.
Palmer intercepted and dropped inside the 10-yard line. DJ Williams appeared to have it and lost it.
He did have it for a moment, just not long enough. Again, Carson Palmer is throwing to a spot, and you can see Houshmandzadeh slip at the line of scrimmage. And Carson Palmer is throwing to a certain spot, and because of the slip, Houshmandzadeh wasn't there, but at least he collided with Williams enough to knock the ball loose.
And here is Sebastian Janikowski going to try one from 48 yards out. He has been hobbled by a hamstring injury. There was some question whether or not he'd be able to go today. He does, and he got it.
I can't tell you how gingerly he kicked in warm-ups. That looked like a ginger kick, and it went right in. He's amazing.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Applebee's. Veterans and active duty military eat free on Veterans Day, only at Applebee's. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
We are back in Oakland, where that man, Sebastian Janikowski's 48-yard field goal has the Raiders up by a 3-0 score. Coming up on 7.5 minutes to play here in the first quarter.
Well, you can see that he did not want to stretch that hamstring with a big follow-through. He really just stabbed at that ball and still got enough on it from a decent distance.
And he doesn't kick this one very far at all. About the 21-yard line. It's picked up by Daniel Fells, tight end, and the Denver Broncos are going to get some decent field position out of this when we come back. 7:29 to play in the first quarter. Tebow time.
You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Hey, get scores and manage CBS Sports Fantasy Football teams on your mobile phone. To get the free app, simply call *CBS or go to cbsports.com/mobile. Back on offense, Tebow and the Denver Broncos. And on their first drive, Tebow did not throw the ball at all, but he carried twice for 7 yards.
There was one McGahee run and a pair of Tebow runs.
The ball just across the Denver 40-yard line. McGahee, nothing there. Let's go back to that Sebastian Janikowski situation. There was legitimate concern about him this weekend.
Oh, yeah. We weren't sure until yesterday that he was going to play. He's got that sore left hamstring. Here he is. And I'm telling you, look how easily he's doing this. And again, he does no follow-through at all. And yet somehow he was able to muscle it through. And that kickoff, that hurt, because I think Janikowski came over to the sideline. And I'm not sure we'll see him kick off again this game.
2nd and 9. Tebow sets up the screen. McGahee, penalty marker is down in the Denver backfield as McGahee works his way to the 49-yard line. And this is going to be a hold on the Broncos, and it'll come back. John Perry, our referee.
Holding. Number 78. Offense. 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's Ryan Clady, the left tackle.
Well, Ryan Clady is the best offensive lineman for the Broncos. He's their left tackle. I believe he was working against Desmond Bryant that time. And that is not a statistic that an offensive lineman wants to have horse collared around his neck, being tied for the lead in the NFL with holding penalty, especially when you're as good as Clady.
No Sean Marino into the backfield on 2nd and 19. This is Marino to the 35. Richard Seymour with the stop.
And it's no secret how you're going to play defense against this Denver offense. And it's crowd the line of scrimmage, take away the running game, keep an eye on Tebow, but can you force him into these kind of situations? Because this is now where Tim Tebow has really struggled. Chuck Bresnahan, the defensive coordinator, he could devise this game plan in his sleep.
Third and very long. Will shovel pass straight ahead. Marino brought down at the 40-yard line, and again, Denver has to kick it away.
Well, and again, how conservative are we looking at here? A screen pass, a shovel pass. And again, Tim Tebow told us it's all about making better decisions. And right now, the Broncos choosing just not to put the ball in his hands.
Dan, I can't say enough about how John Fox was willing to talk about the Tim Tebow situation for a guy who has to be having nightmares about talking about it for the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think he's really right when he says, I'm just trying to figure out who my quarterback for next year is going to be.
They get a Denver bounce on the kick inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. And a penalty marker flies. So we had a late flag.
52 yards on that run by Brendan Colquitt. There is a penalty flag on the play.
Dan, what could possibly happen while the ball is rolling to a dead stop?
I don't know, but John Perry is saying it's against Denver.
And now he's consulting with Hugh Jackson as to what the Raiders want to do.
Well, if he has a chance, Hugh Jackson would like him to punt it again.
Illegal touching of the kick on the kicking team. Number 25. Number 25 went out of bounds and was the first player to touch the ball.
Oh, boy.
It's a 5-yard penalty. Oakland is selected to re-kick.
You bet.
Fourth down.
You better believe they've selected to re-kick. If you go out of bounds, whether it's a pass play or a kicking play, you cannot be the first player to touch the football.
Here's the kicker to that whole situation, Dan. You ought to know when you're out of bounds.
Well, he's a rookie. I mean, Chris Harris is a rookie, and he made the mistake. And I don't know how long his NFL career is going to be. I can pretty much assure you he won't make it again. But that great bounce gets negated.
So Britton Colquitt will try it again. Booms this one out of there. Denarius Moore from his own 8-yard line. Back to about the 20. 4 minutes, 58 seconds to play. First quarter, Raiders leading the Broncos 3-0. Hey, this November, we ask you to join the NFL Salute to Service campaign to honor our nation's veterans and active service men and women. Learn more at NFL.com/salute.
I think right now Raider fans are hoping to see Carson Palmer in the passing game be a little more precise. Their first couple of possessions there were some misfires, some throwing to places where receivers weren't there, and what could have been an interception by DJ Williams.
From their own 20-yard line. Palmer, screen, tipped, incomplete. Elvis Dumerville got a hand on it. Here's what's happened with Carson today, Dan.
Well, in the first couple of possessions, like I said, there's been some problems. This was a miscommunication with Denarius Moore. Then a good solid throw to Jacoby Ford, and that was the real bright spot. But then on the next one, Houshmandzadeh slips. Palmer throws to a spot, and DJ Williams really should have had that interception. And then that one got kicked by the shortest defensive lineman in the league.
It's some of the longest arm. Here's the draw for Michael Bush with penalty marker down in the backfield.
Michael Bush.
DJ Williams dragged Bush down. This is going to be yet another penalty on the Raiders.
Number 64. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
The center, Samson Satelli. You know, we talked to Hugh Jackson about all these penalties, and he said, it kind of surprised me, Dan. He said we have to do a little better job of coaching. But I don't know. I guess I don't understand how better coaching eliminates penalties. It seems to be more common sense than anything else.
Yeah, you have officials at practice. You constantly, drive the point home to your players. But a lot of times penalties come because a lesser player can't keep up with a better player.
On 2nd and 20, Bush spinning across the 15 to about the 16 or 17 yard line, and Chris Harris makes the stop there.
Greg, the one thing I like that Hugh said is he goes, hey, I don't subscribe to some conspiracy theory that because we're the Raiders, we just get more penalties. He goes, we're getting more penalties because we deserve these calls. He's a stand-up guy in that regard.
Well, let's say that never helps if you subscribe to that theory in public.
No.
3rd and 13. Palmer under pressure and goes down.
Well, Von Miller was in there. He was one of the guys. Elvis Dumerville as well. Take a look at this. Dumerville, number 92, working, but it's really Von Miller breaking up the middle. And he's the first guy that gets his hands around Carson Palmer's legs. And he gets to the inside of Wisniewski, who then works back to the outside and turned him loose. I'm not sure why he did that.
Quan Cosby. Inside his 30, tripped up, falls forward to about the 35-yard line. Tywan Jones with the special teams play after a 61-yard punt by Shane Leckler. And here comes Tim Tebow. He made his first career start against Oakland and played very well last season. This was a 40-yard run for a touchdown. Followed that up with a 33-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Lloyd. And he finished 8 of 16 for 138 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 78 yards and a touchdown in a 39-23 loss.
Yeah, it was a loss. But it's something that Hugh Jackson, he spent all week making his players watch that game, saying, this is what this guy's capable of.
That pass out of the backfield, actually coming across from his tight end position, is Daniel Fells. As the Broncos try to accomplish something other than a 3-and-out.
Well, that was actually a nice delivery by Tebow in the face of
Number
real
75,
pressure.
as reported,
He actually put some nice touch on that ball. Granted, it wasn't all the way downfield, but that could have easily been an incompletion.
Tebow keeps it. Tebow to the 30 and out of bounds.
Well, that was some slick ball work by Tim Tebow. That is the way to ride the running back in. When he sticks that ball in the stomach of the running back, watch how long he rides him in there. And then by the time he comes around the corner, the Raiders caught completely by surprise.
You know, one thing the Broncos have their fair share of is long runs this season, and Tebow has his share of those.
Well, a lot of times, though, you'll see a quarterback makes a very token little move in there. You know, it's a little semi-fake. Not that one. He sold it.
First down of the day for the Broncos. This is McGahee. And there's a helmet loose.
That's Aaron
as McGahee gets brought down.
Well, that is, Tim Tebow is not the most polished of passers, but look at that graphic. He's got some legs that can make some plays in the NFL. We've seen what Michael Vick can do, and I'm not saying that he's quite in that category, but he is a big, strong, physical presence running the football.
3 tight ends for Tebow on 2nd and 10. This side of the field, he overthrew Julius Thomas, the rookie tight end out of Portland State.
And there's the type of a pass that his detractors will have a field day with, because his guy is wide open. And this football just gets completely away from Tim Tebow. That is, you just don't see misfires like that in the National Football League every day. And unfortunately, Tim's had his fair share of those. That statistic right there is sobering if you're a Broncos fan.
Play clock down to 3, 2, 1. And he calls a timeout.
Actually, I think Denver called the timeout from over on their sideline.
Looking at a 3rd and 10 with 1:16 to play here in the first quarter, and there are the other two quarterbacks, Kyle Orton and Brady Quinn.
John Fox told us that if something goes wrong with Tebow, that it would be Brady Quinn who would be next up.
Over the middle, got his man, touchdown! Eric Decker with his 6th receiving touchdown of the season.
Well, that's how
you get some pushing and shoving in the middle of the field.
Touchdown to number 87, Eric.
Well, that is how you make up for overthrowing your tight end, by coming back and throwing a strike like that on a post pattern. And Michael Huff, the safety, just in a trail position. Take a look at that. That was an absolutely perfect pass from Tim Tebow to Eric Decker, who a lot of people in the National Football League aren't sure who this guy even is. He is coming on and having a career year.
Twice drafted as a baseball player at the University of Minnesota. Has chosen the football career. His 6th touchdown catch of the season. Prater's extra point is good. And with 71 seconds remaining here in the first quarter, the Denver Broncos have grabbed a 7-3 lead. And Dan, it looks like the difference in this one is he just rear back and threw it.
Well, he just throws. He led his guy. It's got some arm strength. It wasn't a ballooning pass, and it really was in the exact right position where Decker could make a play on it. And you can see Richard Seymour is going at it with J.D. Walton, the Denver center. Let me tell you, as an offensive lineman, you love it when that happens, because you know what? The guy's too busy with you. He's not on the ball carrier. He's not on your quarterback. You can let him slap you around all he wants.
So Tebow engineers a 5-play, 65-yard drive in just over 2 minutes of playing time. It ends with his 5th touchdown pass of the season.
And he made the 2 big plays on that drive, one with the great fake and the run, and then comes back with the touchdown strike. So, in a capsule, we just saw
the best and the worst.
The best and the worst in back-to-back plays. A complete overthrow, and then he comes right back with a bullet for a touchdown.
We had some conversations with the Raiders about who's the fastest guy on the team. And this guy in the end zone is in the conversation. Jacoby Ford will not run this one out of the end zone. And the touchback means the Raiders start from their own 20-yard line. But let's talk about young Mr. Decker, number 87.
Well, primarily a special teams player last year. Take a look. He even returned a punt, if you can believe that. It takes a little leap. He had a pair of touchdowns against the Bengals in week 2, and he had another pair against the Packers. And then he comes back last week, and stop and think about it. A second-year guy had 5 touchdowns coming into the game. That was number 6. And this is a guy who only had 6 receptions all of last year in his rookie season.
Now Carson Palmer from the 20, short drop throws. Out to the 25-yard line. That's complete to the fullback, Marcel Reese. So it'll be 2nd and 5, and we are under a minute to play here in the first quarter.
Well, you can see Carson Palmer getting the Raiders up to the line without a huddle. Trying to change the tempo up.
Grenade!
Michael Bush.
Oh, great cut. And what a seal on the backside by the Raiders offensive line.
Out across the 35 to the 36-yard line.
Take a look at this. It's going to go off right guard, but then Bush has the vision to the backside. His fullback makes a nice seal over there. That was really well done. Veldir and Wisniewski, a couple big blocks.
Last 15 seconds of the first quarter. Palmer with time, throwing, overthrows and almost intercepted.
Well,
Whitney Carter was the man taking aim on the pass for Denarius Moore.
Well, Denarius Moore slipped and fell down. And when he slips and falls, he takes the defender with him. There he goes to the ground, and it's almost like sliding into second base. That's the second time that Carson has seen one of his intended receivers have a footing problem. Remember earlier, Hushmanzada slipped.
So 2nd and 10. Bush right ahead through a hole across the 40 to about the 42, and that'll do it for the first quarter here in Oakland. That's the end of one with the score. Denver 7 and Oakland 3. We're coming back to Oakland, California right after this. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The aerial coverage of today's game is provided by MetLife. A beautiful view. We start the second quarter.
I would, if I'm the Raiders, I keep running the football. They have, their offensive line has been getting some nice holes and some pretty good gashes against this Denver front.
Oakland 0 for 3 on third down so far today. They're looking at a 3rd and 4 right now. Hushmanzada in motion. And that was incomplete off the hands of Hushmanzada. And the Raiders will kick.
Well, Hushmanzada, he was here, he's coming here to try to work the middle of the field. That is just tremendous coverage. It's hard to do it much better than Chris Harris did it right there.
Once again, Quan Cosby deep. Let's see how far Leckler takes this one. Fair catch made at the 15-yard line. Tonight on The Amazing Race, the African Adventure kicks into high gear. Can this former NFL star carry the weight? An all-new Amazing Race tonight, only CBS. In the throwing department, Tebow, 3 out of 4. Parson, 2 for 8. And Willis McGahee, not making an impact so far. Michael Bush has.
Well, he doesn't have to. Tim Tebow has run the ball for almost 40 yards.
56. Go.
This is McGahee, left side, across the 20 to about the 23-yard line, where Aaron Curry makes the stop.
And that's exactly what a young quarterback needs. Well, forget that. Any quarterback. That kind of production on first down makes life a whole lot simpler, both for the play caller and for the guy that has to execute the play.
That's
Mike
offensive
McCoy.
coordinator Mike McCoy.
1. Go.
McGahee again. This time stood up at about the 23-yard line.
Well, it's been a little bit of everything for Tim Tebow so far, and we're just at the very beginning of the second quarter. He spins out of a sack, able to get some positive yardage, and then this run after a tremendous ball fake just totally surprised the Raiders defense, and then he comes back with that strike downfield to Eric Decker, and now he's even going to be peacemaker after Walton and Seymour were doing a little pushy-shovey.
3rd and 2.
Quarterbacks need to learn to stay out of that stuff, though. That's not a good place.
And timeout is called.
Oh, that's Denver's second timeout.
13 and a half remaining in the first half. 7-3 Broncos. A look at the famed black hole. here in Oakland where there are all kinds of denizens, big and small. And there's a nice outfit. 3rd and 2 for Tebow and the Broncos.
56 is your line.
Hey, Owen, watch this Owen. Go.
Fakes the pitch. Tebow going to run it. He's got a first down, and here's a penalty marker in the backfield. And this is going to come back.
Holding. Number 78. Offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
Ryan Clady's collecting them like party favors.
Well, I think we showed the graphic that he was tied for the lead with the most holding calls in the NFL. I think he's the front runner all by himself.
Leader in the clubhouse.
Boy, and the worst part of it is that is a design play for Tim Tebow to run to the right, and Clady was the left tackle.
And it worked like a charm.
But he was away from the play. He wasn't at the point of attack.
Tebow up the middle, got hit, goes down at the 14.
And Chuck Bresnahan doing the right thing, bringing pressure, bringing a blitz right up the middle. Seymour and Houston are both there, but you can see Michael Huff, the safety, comes on a blitz. And again, Tim Tebow in that situation, it's all about making rapid-fire decisions. And as a young quarterback, that's going to be the last thing to come around.
Demarius Moore deep for the upcoming kick from Britton Colquitt.
And that holding call on Clady was an absolute killer.
Dropped the ball. Threw it out of the end zone. Raiders want a safety.
Well, really, it's just an incomplete
pass. That's a forward pass.
It's just an incomplete pass.
And he picked it up off the ground and threw it unless they're going to call that a grounding.
Well, they could maybe. He didn't get. You're right. He didn't get it back to the line of scrimmage.
Let's get John Perry.
Ineligible player downfield, number 46 of the offense. There is no intentional grounding as number 30 was in the area of the vicinity and he was an eligible receiver. We'll replay 4th down.
Well, why would they replay 4th down?
I don't understand.
The Raiders will decline the penalty.
The ball should go.
Well, it does.
Sure, the ball goes over on downs.
The Raiders are not going to accept that illegally downfield penalty. It's an incomplete pass on 4th down. It's Raider football. And that's what John Perry is signaling now. Well, that was
a faux pas of the first order.
Well, but actually Colquitt ends up, granted, he drops the ball, but that move right there actually worked out for his team, as the Raiders at least now have to go 19 yards for a touchdown.
14.
I'm sorry, 14. Math was never my... I'm too busy doing things here.
Tywan Jones in the backfield. Jones with the handoff, trying to find a hole on the right side, and got crushed at about the 12. Robert Ayers, third-year defensive end from Tennessee, took aim.
Well, this game so far has hardly been a textbook game on how to play this game at the highest level. We've seen a lot of penalties. We've seen some mistakes. And right now, the Denver defense has been put to the test.
2nd and 8 from the 12. This is Jones again, and Jones up the middle to about the 10, and we get another penalty mark. And this is going to be against the Raiders.
Holding, number 61. Offense, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's the rookie left guard, Stefan Wisniewski.
Well, Stefan is the nephew of the great Steve Wisniewski. There he is right there, number 61 on the right side of your screen. And he's got the left arm out, and he put a pretty good grab on Marcus Thomas. And that's when you're going to get called, when you've got an arm on the guy and you're attempting to keep him from sliding in to make a tackle. Now with the umpire back behind the line of scrimmage, that's very visible.
So it's 2nd and 18 now for Palmer. Over the middle, inside the 15 to about the 10 to the tight end, Brandon Myers.
Number 83, Brandon Myers.
Well, Brandon Myers lined up at the tight end on the left position. Now just trying to find that little soft spot, little curl pattern right in the middle of that Denver zone.
Just set it down at the 11. Meanwhile, we've seen a couple of plays by Taiwan Jones. You know, you expect the head coach to speak highly of his players, but how about Hugh Jackson's comments on Taiwan Jones? Said that he's the fastest guy with a football he's ever been around. Timeout, Oakland.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Macy's, E-Trade, Investing Unleashed, and by the all-new Volkswagen Passat. That's Das Auto.
Well, one thing's for sure, there won't be a whole lot of stopping the clock down the stretch of this first half. Denver is down to 1 timeout. Oakland is down to 2. And the Raiders with a 3rd and 7. Palmer, right side, complete to the end zone. Touchdown, Michael Bush. And as a Raider, Carson Palmer's first touchdown pass.
Well, the matchup was Michael Bush against Wesley Woodyard, the linebacker, and Woodyard falls down. 52. Look at him right in the middle of your screen. He's locked up on Bush, and then he loses his footing not once but twice. And that allows Michael Bush to make this sensational leap over Champ Bailey into the end zone. What an effort by Bush.
Sebastian Janikowski for the extra point. Oh, so softly through the uprights. 10:42 to play in the first half, and the Oakland Raiders regain the lead. Carson Palmer says he wants to play football till his legs and knees and back won't let him anymore. There's Michael Bush on the receiving end of his first career touchdown catch.
It's a good job of Palmer finding him after checking down.
More foot into this one from Janikowski, and Cosby going to run it out. Breaks a tackle at the 20, falls forward to about the 23-yard line.
Number 17, Quan Cosby on the kickoff return.
Hey, tomorrow on CBS, Hawaii 5-0 starts with a plane crash and ends with a surprise twist. Don't miss a new Hawaii 5-0 tomorrow, only CBS.
At their 23.
Once again, the focus on Tim Tebow as the Broncos start from their own 23-yard line.
Well, once again, can the Broncos help him out on first down?
Go! Keeps the ball across the 30 and out of bounds at about the 31-yard line, knocked out there by Aaron Curry. The amazing thing about Tim Tebow, Dan, is that certainly he's come under a great deal of fire for his abilities or lack thereof as a quarterback, but a lot of it has been personal. And you have to admire the way the young man has handled that.
Well, he did admit to us that he has stopped watching television and he has stopped listening to talk radio, and he's trying to isolate himself from that, and that is a pretty smart move.
8 on that play. McGahee looking for the first down and is right there at the marker at the 33-yard line.
You know, Willis McGahee is playing with a plate and a bunch of screws in his right hand.
I can't imagine.
And you know, when talking about ball security, you know, John Fox says he doesn't have any problem with it. You see he's got a little pad over the top of it. He said he would have played he would have played last week, except for the fact that the incision was so fresh, they were worried that it might get infected.
I saw where McGee, he said earlier this week, well, yeah, it hurts, but so what?
Yeah, that's, welcome to the National Football League.
Denver first down. Tebow looking, throw, incomplete. Intended for Eddie Royal.
And again, almost
looked like he threw into a crowd there.
Yes, he most certainly did. And again, you'd think rolling to his left, that plays to the strong suit of a left-handed quarterback, but Eddie Royal had a chance at it. But by the same token, so did Stanford Rout, the corner coming underneath.
And then Tyvon Branch almost got it before it hit the turf. Bottom line, incomplete, 2nd and 10.
Not seeing everything that's happening downfield is a problem that Tebow's got to work to overcome.
Lance Ball is in the backfield. He gets the pitch, trying to turn the corner and cannot. He's run out of bounds by Darrell Blackstock, the 5th-year linebacker out of Virginia.
And now we come to these long yardage situations on 3rd down that have seemed to just be insurmountable problems for this Denver offense. Complete empty backfield for Tebow.
Play clock to 2 to 1. He didn't get the play off.
No, he didn't.
And if you are not aware, the history between these two franchises is not what you call pleasant. 2 long-time rivals.
Well, on the field and off the field.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
3rd and 11 becomes 3rd and 16.
And it goes all the way back to the old AFL. And now a big problem has become 5 yards bigger.
Tebow and the Broncos need the 44-yard line for a first down.
I wouldn't be surprised to see something awfully conservative here. Tebow might just take off with the football.
Shovel pass.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be something very safe. Something very safe, very conservative. And of course, the Raiders know this defensively. They're crowding the line of scrimmage, and they're just all sitting. You can see all the defensive linemen are just reading and reacting. They're not really trying to blow up field. They're reading their blocks, getting in position that if Tebow comes out of there with the ball or something like that shovel pass, they're in a place to make the play.
Colquitt, who fumbled the snap last time, gets this one away. Moore backed up to a 16. Right up the middle. Still on his feet and then down at the 32. 7 minutes, 23 seconds remaining in the first half, and the Oakland Raiders lead it by 3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. Switch now and get a whole home DVR upgrade for free. And by Red Lobster. It's endless shrimp at Red Lobster. Enjoy endless combinations of shrimp entrees for only $15.99.
Mike Mitchell being looked at on the sideline. He was injured on that last play before we went to break. And meanwhile, Tim Tebow trying to find some answers. Carson Palmer from his own 32. Bush. 45. Out to about the 48-yard line for a first down. Brian Dawkins and Clinton Carter combining for the stop.
We've been talking about this since the game started, but the Raider offensive line has been doing a really good job in the running game. That time with a little stretch play, you see how they locked up on a guy, kept their feet, they ran with the Denver defense, and then Michael Bush found himself a nice little lane, one cut, upfield.
Bush again. This time he is stacked up. This is an offense that is missing Darren McFadden, who had the 2 top rushing games in the NFL this year. He had 150 yards in the opener at Denver and 171 yards on the ground against the New York Jets.
Yeah, he's got a sprained right foot that just is being a little balky and coming around. And he was leading the National Football League in rushing for a while, but tough to maintain that when you're not playing. Look at the Denver defensive line, a full yard off the football.
Safeties are a good 20 yards off the ball. This is Bush. To about the 47 of the Broncos as we duck under 6 minutes to play here in the first half.
Well, the thing about this Raider running game is that Michael Bush, he's not a fallback position. And I think Michael Bush is a running back that could start for a lot of teams in the National Football League, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of this season, and he's got a few things to prove when he gets the opportunity.
Wasn't always a running back. Played wide receiver and quarterback in high school. Went to Louisville as a quarterback. He can throw the ball. Palmer pulls it down, now throws, complete on the sideline, and fighting for first down yardage is Denarius Moore, and I think he got it.
Well, Denarius Moore, I love the kid's attitude, but in the field of play, stretching the football out like that, this is working against Champ Bailey. That's a sign of respect. But this move right here, whoa, that is a fumble waiting to happen. Great effort, though. Denarius Moore, so much to like about a 5th-round draft pick. What a steal.
On first down, Palmer going to go deep down the sideline. It is picked off by Champ Bailey. And that is going to be Denver football at the 15-yard line.
Well, Champ Bailey hasn't gone to 10 Pro Bowls by accident or because other guys just want to hang out with him. He's done it because his ball skills are sensational. And he becomes the receiver. And you can see he doesn't have control of the ball on the way down. Does the ball touch the ground? He's got it down between his legs. Again, it looks like
it stands up for career interception number 49 and his first of this season.
At no point could we see the ball touch the ground.
On first down, this is McGahee, and McGahee for 2, maybe 2.5 yards.
Again, one more time. Right there, Champ Bailey has become the receiver, and Denarius Moore has become the defender, and it was just a perfect job of elevating at the right time by Champ Bailey. And he is not one of those corners who plays corner because he doesn't have any hands to play receiver. His ball skills are sensational.
2nd and 8. Tebow to throw. A time this time. Throws far side. Complete. Incomplete. The penalty marker down. Intended for Decker. And there's a penalty marker in the backfield as well.
Well, DeMarcus Van Dyke was the defender downfield for the Raiders.
There are 2 fouls on the play, both on the defense. Illegal use of hands to the face. Number 23, personal foul, roughing the passer, driving the quarterback into the ground. That penalty will be accepted. 15-yard penalty. First down.
So DeMarcus Van Dyke is the rookie cornerback who got called for that.
Well, and that really is. That's so visible. There's nothing wrong with the hit, but after the hit, driving him into the ground and using your shoulder to drive into his upper body and plant him on the ground, that's what got Jarvis Moss in trouble.
Is it a bad thing when the penalty marker hits you?
Yeah. I've had him stick in my face mask.
First down. McGahee. Fighting for yards. Look at the middle of that line. Holy smokes.
Well, Willis McGahee just won't go down. I think it's considering what he had done only 10 days ago, that he's out here playing and showing that kind of toughness. Now he's not getting much in the way of yardage, just averaging a little over 2 yards a carry. But it hasn't been through lack of effort.
When this snap happens, we'll be coming up on 3 minutes to play here in the first half.
Again, out of the shotgun where Tebow's most comfortable.
Throws the side of the field incomplete. He was under pressure and couldn't connect with Eddie Royal.
Well, you know, Tim Tebow's recognition and decision-making process is just not as fast as it really needs to be in the National Football League. So he's going to take shots, and you can see him trying to find out. And he takes a helmet right to the chin from Aaron Curry. And that is supposed to be a penalty. And the Raiders really dodged one there. Hitting a guy in the chin with your helmet is an automatic foul.
3rd and 7, here comes the blitz. And Tebow just had to get rid of it. And he hits the dirt again.
Well, there's no mercy in the National Football League, and Chuck Bresnahan is just dialing up one blitz after another. And that time it's Cameron Wembley coming around. And Tim Tebow, during the course of a football game, whatever you think about him, don't ever question his physical toughness, because he gets a stuffing.
Moore going to return this one from the 23. Changes direction. And tripped up at about the 27-yard line. Spencer Larson with the special teams play. Meanwhile, Carson Palmer.
Well, Carson Palmer, you know, again, got thrown into this game against the Chiefs with only 3 days practice. So yeah, he throws 3 interceptions. Now that one, he hit his man with it, and it just got popped up into the air. Now that one, not so much. And then today, he challenges Champ Bailey, and Champ Bailey comes out the winner. You know, you give your guy a chance to make the play, and that's what he did with the rookie Denarius Moore. He just chose poorly on which cornerback he was going to go after. I would not recommend challenging Champ Bailey very often.
On first down, Bush across the 30 to about the 31. I hope you caught Shannon Sharp's interview with Carson Palmer on the NFL Today earlier today. He was very honest and forthright, talking about his decision to leave Cincinnati, and basically Carson said he wasn't really proud of it.
Well, Shannon asked him if he thought he was being selfish, and he said, yeah, I guess to a degree I was.
Palmer throwing. Oh, what a catch by Jacoby Ford. Ford down the sideline to about the 40-yard line.
Well, if you're a Raider fan, you're well aware of the fact that this young receiving corps just oozes talent. And again, that's Champ Bailey again, and Champ just lost his footing. You know, his legs just went out from under him. He had great coverage, but way to compete for the football, Jacoby Ford. Against really physical coverage from Champ Bailey. He went toe-to-toe and won it.
Let's see if Carson Palmer gets the snap before the 2-minute warning. He does not. We have 2 minutes to play here in Oakland in the first half. Oakland with a 3-point lead and driving. Welcome back, everyone. Remember, the Sprint Halftime Report coming up. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and the coach. All the latest NFL scores and highlights on the Sprint Halftime Report. First down, Raiders at the Broncos, 39. Oakland with 2 timeouts remaining. This is Bush. To about the 35.
You know, who hasn't been a part of the Raiders offense at all in this first half is Darius Hayward-Bay, the leading receiver, and he's, I don't believe he's even been thrown to, and a lot of times he hasn't been on the field.
And we get...
Ball starts, number 64. offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That sure got Marcus Thomas excited.
He was just dancing through the line.
Here's a guy that is that's about as excited as I've ever seen anybody get over a false start.
That's kind of like the new phone books are here. The new phone books are here. Second and 11. Palmer to throw. Oh, what a catch inside the 5. Touchdown.
What a catch. What a throw.
Marcel Reese.
Oh, right down the seam. Carson Palmer. What a big-time throw from Palmer. Oh, that was beautiful. And Raider fans are going, that's what I'm talking about.
Touchdown recipient Carson Palmer to this fullback Marcel Reese.
Reese with his second receiving touchdown of the day, and Palmer with both of his TD passes to running backs. Janikowski. For the extra point. Minute and a half to play. Marcel Reese has shown us today the ability to get down the field in a hurry.
Well, he's going to go right down the seam, and Carson Palmer just lays it perfectly because the coverage was really tight. And this takes a perfect pass to end up being a touchdown. DJ Williams running right stride for stride with Marcel Reese. And I'm sure DJ Williams can't believe that ended up being a touchdown. I mean, look at that coverage from Williams. Williams just doesn't know where the football is, and Marcel Reese with great awareness.
So Carson Palmer gets the Raiders on the board again, and they lead it now 17-7. Remember earlier in this game, there was a fumble, and all of a sudden there was Marcel Reese way downfield to make the recovery.
He got a little payday. He got a little payday for that right there.
Marcel Reese goes 6'3", 240 pounds. Not having trouble navigating downfield at all. So Sebastian Janikowski with the step-and-a-half kickoff. Look at that.
Well, that's a line drive that's returnable.
Cosby. 30. Out to about the 38, maybe the 39-yard line.
Well, of course, all of Carson Palmer's previous touchdown passes were with the Bengals. Again, look at this nice pocket that gets formed. He's able to step right up. Looks like Khalif Barnes, the right tackle, might have gotten away with a hold, but no flag was thrown.
So now Tebow and the Broncos with one timeout remaining.
Go!
That's incomplete, and that's off the fingertips of Noshan Moreno.
And Noshan Moreno, the #1 pick a couple of years ago, has really been pretty much relegated to just a third down back for the Broncos.
Looks like he might have heard footsteps on that pass. Second and 10. This is Moreno going nowhere. And we get a penalty flag.
Personal foul, face mask, number 92. Defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And the hits just keep on coming as far as the penalties against the Raiders are concerned.
There's Richard Seymour, number 92. And that's the worst part, is you'll see face masks, and you'll see them in the act of making the tackle. Moreno was already stood up, and Richard, one of the smarter players in the league, so I can't even fathom why, just reaches in and grabs the face mask.
That's 65 penalty yards against Oakland here in the first half. Tebow throws incomplete.
And that came off his hand really funky.
From his reaction, you would think Demaryius Thomas cut the wrong way. Broke to the inside, and the pass was to the outside.
Well, let's take a look at this. Hardly a perfect spiral by the time he gets out there. When really Stanford route had just tied up Thomas to the point where he was a non-factor.
Tebow down the sideline. It is caught by Royal, but not inbound.
So it looked like he had 1 foot in bounds, but I don't think that ball sailed out of bounds, and I don't. Maybe someone 7 feet tall might have been able to keep their feet in. He got the right foot in, but the left foot out of bounds. Great effort by Eddie Royal, though, trying to come down with that.
Here come the Raiders after Tebow. On the move, throw, sideline, that's complete and out of bounds to Eric Decker for a first down.
And that was a good delivery by Tebow. Bought himself a little extra time, extended it by rolling to his left. No one on that side of the defense from the Raiders could contain him and keep him from getting outside.
A couple of these Raider blitzes, Dan, the safeties are coming from pretty deep in the secondary, and they just don't have time to get to Tebow.
They've got to time him up a little better than that. But that was an effective play by number 15.
Lance Ball into the backfield. First down, 58 seconds remaining. Tebow going to go for the end zone for Decker. It's incomplete. Covered by Michael Huff.
That actually wasn't a bad pass from Tebow because Decker was really covered very tightly by Michael Huff. So why not throw it way out there, and who knows, maybe you draw the flag, maybe you get a penalty, maybe your guy shows more speed than you've ever seen before. Sometimes the defense just does a good job, and that was really good coverage from Michael Huff.
Quick pass from Royal, and Royal can't shake the tackler. Stanford route.
Good recognition by Route.
Clock continues to move. 40 seconds to play here in the first half.
Yeah, that's where the coaching and the practice during the week, identifying the formation, realizing the quick screen is an option, and that's the way to close it, cover it, and
3rd and 11. Tebow up the middle, incomplete. Julius Thomas, the intended receiver there.
I think Tim Tebow was trying to do a Carson Palmer imitation of hitting that covered seam route right down the middle of the field. Again, very good coverage by the Raiders.
And now Matt Prater will come on. He's no slouch in the long distance field goals. In fact, from more than 50 yards out, he is 10 of 14 in his career.
Well, he's going to get a chance at another one.
This one is 53. Penalty marker on the far side of the field.
Well, one of the Raiders was
offside. Number 22. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So that just shortened up Prater's shot here.
It most certainly did. Tywan Jones, the running back, who's in there for his speed coming around the corner. Well, he jumped the gun. And that makes things a little more comfortable for Prater. That's pretty inexcusable for a rookie to make that mistake.
Prater from 48.
There's another flag. There's another flag.
And it might
Did
be
Jones-
Taiwan Jones again.
Did he hit Prater?
Tim Tebow sporting a little wound.
If this is a personal foul, this will be a Denver first down if they want to.
Personal foul.
Yeah.
Roughing the kicker. Number 22, defense. Contact with the plant leg of the kicker. That penalty has been accepted.
Penalty.
First 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Well, Hugh Jackson told us he was well aware of the problems with the penalties, but they don't seem to be addressed very well here in the first half.
Well, and this now John Fox has elected to take the points off the board. And you can see they've tied their average of 9.9, really 10 a game. They've got 9 here in the first half.
Good for 85 yards, and Oakland takes a timeout.
Denver's got 1 timeout left.
And now so does Oakland.
So that wasn't a great series there for Taiwan Jones.
A reminder once again, once this half ends, the Sprint Halftime Report from New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher have all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report.
I know it didn't look like a violent collision between Jones and Prater, but that kicker, they really, and rightfully so, really protect his lead foot. And even if you go sliding into it, you're going to get called. That is a very vulnerable position for a kicker to be in. Well, can Tebow make some magic happen here?
From the 15-yard line, 17 seconds to play in the first half. That's Decker in motion. First trip to the red zone for the Broncos. Tebow throws and underthrew the receiver. Eddie Royal.
Not sure what Tim is, what he's gesturing about.
Second and 10 from the 15.
He had a chance at Eddie Royal, who was coming loose in the back of the end zone, but the ball just nosedived on him right into the turf.
12 seconds to play. Tebow throwing to no one in particular, but we got penalty markers.
Holding, number 74. Offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
That's Orlando Franklin, the rookie right tackle.
Well, that's Franklin there on the lower left of your screen working against Lamar Houston. And I would say that is, some holds are better than others. That was world class. Just grab him by the shoulder pads and throw him to the ground. Who would ever notice that?
So now Matt Prater with 8 seconds on the clock. John Fox not going to waste any more time. This is from 43 yards out. And he hooked it.
So taking the points off the board backfires for John Fox. And again, good snap, good hold. The ball just won't stay straight and ends up on in the woods on the left side of the fairway. Frustration on many levels.
Carson Palmer will take a knee, and the Oakland Raiders will take a 10-point lead to the locker room. We come to the end of the first half, 17-7 Oakland. We'll be back with the Sprint Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. up the middle, got hit. Palmer complete to the end zone. Touchdown, Michael Bush. Welcome back to Oakland. There's our halftime score as we begin the third quarter. The Raiders lead it by a score of 17-7. And a look now, Dan, at the NFL Mobile Recap presented by Verizon.
Well, about as pretty a play as you'll ever see. Great blocking by the guys up front, and then Carson Palmer. Just a beautiful pass down the seam to Marcel Reese. Just picture-perfect teamwork. A beautiful throw and an outstanding catch.
Well, Denver is going to be on the receiving end of this kick, and they are continuing to look for a jump start from that young man.
Well, they really are. You know, he's played, his completion percentage is not very good, but he's made some big plays. But Bill Cowher was right back in the studio at halftime. He has taken a real beating in the first half. Almost every pass he has thrown, he's had somebody right in his chops, right in his face, and he's going to be looking for a hot bath when this is over.
How unusual, Dan, a game between the Raiders and the Broncos.
Yeah, who would ever imagine? There's always going to be a little blood involved. And again, Janikowski with that really sore left hamstring. That's about as abbreviated a kickoff as you'll see.
And it will roll into and through the end zone for the touchback. They'll start from the 20-yard line. Welcome back, Greg Gumbel, along with Dan Deerdorf. You know, this observation is going to continue about Tim Tebow's play, and the easy way would be, well, it's how the game turns out, but it really isn't. Although, you know, when we talked with John Fox, he said he's our winningest quarterback so far.
Yeah, he said, let's be real. We're 1-4. When we made the move to switch to Tebow. So, you know, how much worse could it be when he pulled Kyle Orton? So, again, I think we're measuring Tebow by the coaches looking and saying, did he improve upon the mistakes that he made last week?
Well, Tebow from the shotgun outside, and that's complete to Eric Decker.
We talked a little bit about you know, the pressure that Tebow's been under and the physical hits that he's been taking. Now that ended up being a roughing the quarterback. That one was not, even though a helmet right in the chin. Curry hits him again with that one. And let me tell you something. We just scratched the surface of Tebow in the hits he took in the first half. We don't have time to show all of them, and you can see he's got a little bit of a bloody lip. A reminder of how physical this game has been.
2nd and 2. This is McGahee, and McGahee looks for a first down and has it across the 30 and out to the 32-yard line.
And it's baby steps, and right there is a baby step, and it's just called moving the chains. Make a completion on first down, get a run, move the chains. Tim Tebow talked about that's how a quarterback, at least a young quarterback, one of the ways you get measured. Can you extend some drives? Let your defense rest a little.
And as you mentioned in the first half, Dan, first down is so key, especially to a kid like Tim Tebow.
Well, and 3rd and long is insurmountable.
McGahee. And out of bounds at about the 47. We've got a penalty marker.
Holding, number 12, offense, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
That's wide receiver Matthew Willis.
I think the play is coming right at him as McGahee brings it to the outside. There he is on the left side of your screen. And when you're out in space like that, and he's trying to get the block of DeMarcus Van Dyke, and you could see Van Dyke spin around and plead his case. He didn't have to. The official saw it.
And John Fox knows that's instant trouble. All of a sudden, it's 1st and 20. 133 combined penalty yards in this game already.
Right, go!
Tebow. Oh, he caught the 40-yard line. It is a catch made by Dante Rosario.
Well, again, here's Tim Tebow now, 2 for 2 to start the second half. On the move, rolling to his left side. And there is a good, accurate throw. Low and away. Michael Huff in no position to make a play on a pass thrown that well. Now, that was really well done.
2nd and 2. Again from the shotgun.
80, 56.
The middle. Off the fingertips of Decker. And he had it.
Again, the Raiders bring pressure. The pocket collapsed all around. You got 8 guys coming after Tim Tebow on that. Look at this. That is an 8-man pressure. And Tebow did a very good job of identifying the trouble and getting rid of the ball in a hurry. Wasn't a completion, but not every day do you see an 8-man rush coming at the quarterback.
3rd and 2. This is McGahee. And he has a first down.
Well, they were able to overcome the penalty, the holding call on Matthew Willis, and again move the sticks.
So new set of downs for Tebow and the Broncos. And
56.
certainly shotgun formation is where Tebow is most comfortable.
That's right. Might as well work to his wheelhouse.
From under center, dropped back, got all kinds of running room. Midfield, first down yardage inside the 40 and out of bounds.
Tim Tebow.
Well, right. You see Tyvon Branch. He's pretty upset with Mike Mitchell, the other safety in the game. I don't know if he thought Mitchell was supposed to have contain over there or what. But that's Branch that comes over and gets a good shot on Tebow, and then he gets in the face of his teammate.
51.
Tebow, 6 carries for 67 yards. McGahee inside the 30. The ball came out.
Well,
And he's whistled down at the 26.
That's a nonchalant Willis McGahee getting up after that ball coming out. He was awfully sure that thing came down after he was on the ground.
This is a Denver team that's really tired of losing to the Oakland Raiders. They've lost 4 in a row.
Willis McGahee is really driving. He is not going down easily. He's putting forth some real effort.
On first down. Tebow with time. Throwing over the middle, wide open to the 5. Touchdown, Eddie Royal.
That's number 19, Eddie Royal.
And I'll tell you what, other than the last-minute drive against Miami where they made that miracle comeback, that's about the best-looking series that Tim Tebow has had. In command, accurate throws, running, moving the chains, and then when he gets an opportunity and he finds a wide-open receiver in a blown coverage by the Raiders, he takes advantage of it. And Eddie Royal finally on the scoreboard.
His first touchdown catch of the season. Matt Prater for the extra point, and it is good. Tebow leads the Broncos 80 yards in 9 plays. The touchdown pass makes it a 17-14 Raider lead. As you look at the Denver scoring drive, Tim Tebow threw for 48 yards in the first half. He threw for 47 yards on that last drive.
And what a shot in the arm from a confidence standpoint that drive had to be for Tebow.
Tebow is combined for 162 yards, 95 passing, 67 running.
That ball is gone.
Dan Deerdorf with the home run call. Can't tell he's from St. Louis, can you?
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by the next generation Honda Civic, to each their own.
Welcome back to Oakland. 10:48 to play in the third quarter. Tim Tebow's second touchdown pass of the day pulls the Broncos to within 3 at 17-14. And from the 20-yard line, Palmer for Bush. Lost yardage on the play. Let's go back to the TD pass.
Well, Eddie Royal lines up on the left side of the Denver formation. He's going to move here into the middle, and then he's going to make a break for the end zone when he realizes he has been completely abandoned by the Raiders defensively. See, he settles in there, and now he moves himself over to the right a little more. And what a complete gaffe by the secondary of the Raiders. That is not good. It's good for today, but that helps explain why the Broncos 2-5.
Meanwhile, they are looking at Samson Satelli, the Oakland center, out on the field.
The Raiders weren't sure that they were going to be able to re-sign Satelli. They drafted Wisniewski out of Penn State thinking he might end up being their center. And then they were pretty pleased to re-sign Satelli that they got in a trade back in 09 from Miami.
So he is going to take a slow walk to the sideline, and Wisniewski will move to the center position. And Joe Barksdale, the third-round draft pick out of LSU, have they done anything lately?
Well, Satelli came into this game with a knee problem. And you can see there's Wisniewski looking like he's going to go switch over from left guard to center. Satelli came into this game with a knee problem, and you can see that he's wearing a brace, and it's pretty well taped up.
So now the rookie Barksdale is in at left guard.
And the rookie Wisniewski is the center. A lot of youth on that offensive line.
Second and 11, Palmer under pressure, over the middle. Bush with blockers and running room. Across the 40 to about the 41-yard line, brought down by Clinton Carter. First down, Raiders.
Well, Michael Bush is a good receiver, but on this little, he just gets by the blitz. And Denver, when they came blitzing up the middle, had nobody in a position in that intermediate zone to make a play on a short screen like that. That's the risk of blitzing, especially if the play comes right at the area vacated by the blitz.
And this is going to be another Oakland Raider penalty.
Start, number 12, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's number 10.
Penalty number 10 on the day against the Raiders.
Yep. Hugh Jackson, like all Raider coaches before him, have to be completely vexed by this.
This is Bush. Cut down as he crosses the 40 to about the 43-yard line by Brian Dawkins. I remember, Dan, yesterday when we were talking with Michael Bush, he said, if you were in the booth, how would you describe yourself? And he said, I'm smart and physical.
Well, yeah, I think he doesn't want to just be categorized as a power runner because he weighs between 245 and 250. He said,
55!
I can make people miss.
55!
I'm quick enough on my feet to do that.
On second and 7, Palmer short drop, throws over the middle to midfield. That's complete to Marcel Reese. And we go to New York for an NFL Today update. JB and Boomer Esiason, guys.
Boomer, Giants. How about this? After Tom Brady's third turnover, here comes Brandon Jacobs, 10 yards. Nobody wants to tackle that big man. 10-0. New York Giants over the Patriots in the third quarter.
And as Dan was saying, he's big enough, fast enough, he can make people miss too. Let's go back to Greg and Dan.
What, did I get the name wrong? Hey, it's still Boomer Esiason, isn't it?
I think so. Brandon Jacobs, Bo Schembechler used to say, when a guy was really big, he was big enough to go after a bear with a switch. Where that expression came from, I have no. You didn't need a gun.
It works though. It works though, and you knew what he meant.
Yeah, well, we knew what he meant. Well, Carson Palmer, a little trickeration there as they had a very short yardage situation, 3rd and inches. Caught everybody by surprise running up there and doing the quick snap.
And if he made the first down, it's not by much.
He didn't have far to go.
And it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. He made that by about two links on that chain.
So new set of downs for the Raiders as they cross over into Denver territory.
First and 10, the Broncos 49.
Good Samson. Satelli's still on the sidelines.
Hard. Ready.
Palmer, far side of the field. Right on the money to Jacoby Ford. And that's a first down.
Carson Palmer bringing the Raiders right to the line of scrimmage. Trying to keep the Denver defense a little unnerved as he goes to a hurry-up offense.
52. GGG. Ready.
Bush inside the 30.
I'll tell you what, I'm pretty impressed with this Raider offensive line that you got two rookies in the middle there with Barksdale and Wisniewski. Wisniewski, savvy enough as a rookie to slide over from left guard and play center. You know, it's hard enough just to be on the field as a rookie, much less be playing a couple different positions. There's the DNA. The DNA is pretty good in the Wisniewski family.
We just saw linebacker Wesley Woodyard being helped to the sideline. 7.5 minutes to play here in the third quarter.
Well, Carson and Hugh Jackson got to love this thing. Second and very short. What a down. You can be really creative on this.
And movement on the left side.
False start.
False start. Number 68. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Boy, we talked about the youth on that line. Rookie at center, rookie at left guard, and second-year left tackle Jared Veldier, guilty of that one.
Who would like to kick himself in the butt right now.
Well, actually, he's just joining the party, Dan.
Yeah, but I know, but that's the word. A false start when you're the home team and you don't have to deal with the crowd noise. That's, you know, on the road. Maybe if you're at Arrowhead and you got 80,000 screaming people, but when you're at home and it's
58.
embarrassing.
No. 58. 58.
So it's 2nd and 6. Palmer. Incomplete. We get a penalty marker. Denarius Moore interfered with.
Andre Goodman, the Denver Bronco, pleading his case. I've never seen an official go over and pick it up because you talked to him about it.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 21. Automatic first down. Spot of foul.
All right, you're beyond the 5-yard zone, and that's, I don't know what I don't know what Goodman's trying to talk about there. That's so blatant. And Carson Palmer never saw Joe Mays coming around the corner.
He felt him, though.
He did feel him.
So first down.
55.
Oakland.
Run.
Now at the 18. Palmer. End zone. Touchdown. Jacoby Ford.
Oh, come on. Oh, what hands and what control of the body to get the feet down. Oh, it doesn't get any better than that for Jacoby Ford. You look at that and you say, how is he going to get both feet in play? Again, Andre Goodman goes up. There's the left. There's the right. He's got control. Well, now that ball came loose a little bit. Does it hit? Watch the football when it hits, when his arm goes down to the ground. Yeah, he's got pretty good.
I think he held it.
Yeah, he's got good control of that.
And I'm sure John Perry's holding things up while they look at it upstairs.
Yeah, all
scores will, yes.
Right.
And it's a touchdown.
He signals them to go ahead and kick the extra point. What? Jacoby Ford at 5'9". How is that for getting up?
Sebastian Janikowski's kick is good, so the Raiders come right back down the field and score a touchdown. Jacoby Ford on the receiving end of Carson Palmer's third touchdown pass of the day. Jacoby Ford has caught 4 passes for 97 yards and none prettier than that last one.
Hugh Jackson recruited Carson Palmer to Southern Cal. They go way back.
Janikowski fudges one inside the 15-yard line, picked up by Lance Ball, and he returns it across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. So Tebow and the Denver offense with 6:38 to play in the third.
Radar 4G, available in stores now. And by Acura. Acura Advance.
Six minutes, 38 seconds to play here in the third quarter, and Tebow and company from their own 23-yard line with Willis McGahee in the backfield. Tebow under pressure, throwing deep, got his man open, midfield, caught by Demaryius Thomas.
Boy, the Raiders secondary has really sprung a leak as some Denver receivers are finding wide open spaces. And right there, Stanford route. I don't know if he was confused. He started to break off the coverage and went back to it. And Tebow, guess what? Finds himself on the ground one more time. That time courtesy of Tommy Kelly.
That's a 29-yard pickup. McGahee for a couple to about the 46. Once again to New York. JB and Boomer.
I like Dan Dierdorf's word. No trickeration here, just simple here, Boom.
Hey, guys, every time I see the number 14 in the Cincinnati Bengal uniform, I think of the great Kenny Anderson. Well, Andy Dalton started to make a name for himself right there. Jerome Simpson, 2 touchdown passes on the day for Andy Dalton. They are behind 17-14.
Greg and Dan.
I'm with Boomer. I think of Kenny Anderson, too, every time I see that 14. Not only a great player, but one of the great guys of all time. A darn good coach.
2nd and 8. Tebow steps up, going to run. Got a first down. And out of bounds at about the 33-yard line. Let's go back to that beautiful, beautiful touchdown catch by Jacoby Ford.
Well, just because when Tuesday morning rolls around and you've seen every highlight from this weekend's games, you won't see better hands and better feet. When that ball was in the air and you're looking at the angles, I didn't see any ways that Jacoby Ford could catch the ball and somehow get both feet down in the end zone. If a better one than that happens all weekend long, I'll be in line to see it.
Here's McGahee. Maybe a yard. Meanwhile, Tim Tebow, 7 carries for 79 yards rushing, 10 of 21 throwing for 124 yards.
And he has, this third quarter has been good for Tebow because he came out from a halftime and he is playing and throwing with a lot more authority than he did in the first half. Wasn't terrible in the first half, but he's been spot on here.
This is no Sean Marino. Second effort gets him to the 31-yard line.
Well, we'll give you a little sampling of what Tim Tebow's been able to do throwing the ball. That was his touchdown pass up the middle to Eric Decker. Again, on the move, he keeps it alive, throws an accurate ball. And again, he's found some wide open guys. That time, Eddie Royal. And on this drive, again, there's been some lapses in this Raiders secondary. They've had lots of pressure, but the coverage has sometimes been spotty.
And now he's looking at a 3rd and 8. Play clock down to 3. Down to 1. Whistle blows.
They're going to say he didn't get it off. Boy, they called that one tight.
Yeah, they did.
Normally, the
late game offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Man, normally the back judge, you get a second's leeway.
That was tight. So now it's a 3rd and 13. And Tebow needs the 24-yard line for a first down. Gonna run it. Got some running room up the middle. And very close to that first down. It looks to be about a half a yard shot.
Well, that's a designed run all the way. You can see that's the way it's designed. Zane Beadles, his left guard, pulls around, and it's nothing more than an inside run with Tim Tebow following his off guard into the hole.
Then we've got a player down. That's Orlando Franklin, it appears, the rookie right tackle. So they'll take a timeout on the field, and so will we. 3:14 to play in the third. Back in Oakland, Matt Prater missed a 43-yard field goal in the first half. He's going to try another one from 43 yards out. This one to pull the Broncos to within a touchdown. And this one looks good. Really good.
Seabass less than excited about watching the other kicker and work.
Seabass saying, I can do that. Hey, follow the NFL while on the go with the NFL's new mobile apps. To learn more today, go to NFL.com/mobile. Time for another update from New York. Once again, JB and Boomer.
Nice for Rivers to have an option like this.
That's right. It's Antonio Gates, 11 yards, little out pattern to the left. I'll tell you what, San Diego's not going away. It's 31-24 Packers.
And good old-fashioned shootout taking place there. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf.
Thank you, JB. Huddle on the side with Tim Tebow.
This crowd here in Oakland was pretty excited when they watched a couple of those highlights where the Packers were running back interceptions for touchdowns, and they'd love to see the Chargers get beat.
Cheered like crazy when they saw the highlights of the Kansas City Chiefs.
They've
on
already
the short end of the story.
Yeah, they've already lost. Of course, there was a three-way tie atop this division, and the Raiders looking at an opportunity, if they can win this thing, to maybe go to bed tonight in control of the AFC West.
Jacoby Ford is deep for the Raiders.
First of all, though, they got to take care of the Broncos.
He did not appear to want to go willingly.
No.
And Prater is going to boom this one. Woo. Completely over the end zone. And once again, to New York City, James Brown and Boomer.
The Giants nursing a 7-point lead. This is not what you want, Boomer.
No, Eli Manning's played great this past month, but right here forces the ball, throws a costly interception. Kyle Arrington comes up with it. 10-3, New England takes over.
19 seconds left in the third. Back to Greg and Dan.
Boy, you look at that game, Dan, and you have to really give some props to the New York Giants defense, don't you?
I didn't see that being another Alabama LSU game all over again.
First down from the 20-yard line. This is Bush. Maybe a yard.
Well, Carson Palmer in his starting debut for the Oakland Raiders is enjoying it so far. First time he throws a touchdown pass, great effort by Michael Bush. Then he comes right back to Marcel Reese, a beautiful pass down the seam. And then Boyd he's got to be saying to himself, I like this new receiving corps I've got here out in the West Coast.
Palmer started 2 of 8, and he has completed 9 out of 10 since then. On 2nd and 9, this is Bush again. Back to the line of scrimmage. Von Miller, the fine outside linebacker. Number 2 pick overall in the draft, and the first-round pick out of Texas A&M.
Well, we've got a long way to go in Von Miller's career, but by all appearances, the Broncos knocked one out of the park when they drafted this kid. And he is the whole package. Tremendous rusher of the passer, working more on his coverage skills, but smart, athletic, and
58's the spinner.
He's got skills that you can't
Hey,
coach.
Mike's out there, 52.
Palmer on 3rd and 8. Outside to Jacoby Ford. Going for the first down marker, and he is right at that marker at the 30-yard line.
Well, that is, we saw Sean Payton of the Saints get hurt on the sidelines, and, it comes at you mighty quickly when you're standing on the sideline. And luckily, it looks like everybody involved in this little mini collision is okay. Chris Harris, though, he just, I think, a little bit in awe of how fast Jacoby Ford got upfield.
On first down, Palmer, incomplete at the 35-yard line. intended for Marcel Reese and broken up by DJ Williams.
You know, you're standing there on the sidelines and you're watching the play, but you're a little taken back by how quickly the play just gets on top of you, and you try to get out of the way, but you can't backpedal like an NFL corner.
I would imagine that happens only once before you start to get out of the way.
You think so, but it surprises you.
Palmer. With time, up the seam, inside the 45-yard line by T.J. Houshmandzadeh.
Well, you hear people talk about throwing it into a window. This window that Carson Palmer gets his ball to Houshmandzadeh is very narrow.
Palmer looking deep down the far sideline. It is juggled incomplete. Bounced around there, intended for Darius Hayward-Bay and Andre Goodman covering him step for step.
Well, this is about the first time today that Hayward-Bay has really gotten involved. But again, that's just superlative coverage by Andre Goodman. You can't cover a guy any better than that. And he almost is able to keep that football alive long enough to make the INT.
2nd and 10. Lost the football.
Remember, that's a rookie in at center and a quarterback who's only been here for about a little more than 2 weeks.
There's the rookie, Stefan Wisniewski,
whose uncle Steve is the assistant offensive line coach here with the Raiders, and of course one of the great offensive linemen ever to play for this franchise, and this franchise has had a bunch of them.
And we get a timeout. Raiders call timeout with 14 seconds to play here in the third quarter. And Carson Palmer looking at a 3rd and 11. While we have a moment tonight on 60 Minutes, the man who corrupted Washington, plus a look at the life of our own Andy Rooney tonight on 60 Minutes. Anybody, Dan, at our place or anywhere who ever had the opportunity to say hello to Andy Rooney is something that they would treasure for the rest of their lives.
Well, not many people get to leave a body of work behind that Andy Rooney has done, and to be as big a part of the American pop culture, modern culture. Andy Rooney, didn't he cover every generation?
Anything and everything.
58.
You're right.
Hey, 25.
You think he was only for old people, but young people loved him as well.
3rd and 11. Palmer tipped in the air and intercepted. Picked off by Chris Harris. The rookie out of Kansas with the interception, and the Broncos take over.
And that was just an overthrow on Carson Palmer's behalf. He just puts a little too much air on that football.
He's thrown it into tighter windows than that today.
He had a wide open receiver. Denarius Moore was open, and that's just an overthrow, and it tips right to Harris. Boy, and he knew it. He knew it the minute he let it go.
So now Tebow and the Broncos from their own 40-yard line with 6 seconds to play here in the third quarter. McGahee with a big hole up the middle. McGahee off to the races. 20, 10, touchdown. Quick yards.
Wow. Nobody saw that coming. Nothing, a little delayed handoff, and the Raider defense caught completely napping. And who would have thought that Willis McGahee could run away from the Raider DBs? 30 years old, Willis has still got some pick him up and lay him down. Yeah, Chuck Bresnahan, you're right. That is a look of disgust and disbelief by a defensive coordinator.
Matt Prater for the tie. We have come to the end of the third quarter, and we are tied at 24. And we're coming back after this message and a word from your local station. Along with our producer, Mark Wolf, and our director, Bob Fishman, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, the rest of our CBS Sports crew, we're right back where we started at the opening kickoff. Denver 24, Oakland 24 as we start the fourth. Willis McGahee, the fourth 100-yard rushing game of the season for him. This is picked up at the 7-yard line. And still on the move is Tywan Jones. And Jones across the 25 to about the 27 or 28-yard line. Let's go back to that touchdown.
Well, first of all, it starts with a great block by center J.D. Walton. Here's Walton right here. Watch him get the block on Tommy Kelly. But watch Curry come here and watch Blackstock come in there. And what you're going to see is a complete void now in the middle of this defense. Blackstock doesn't even get blocked, and he just gives himself up. Curry fills the wrong hole, and then Willis McGahee showing, I think, more speed than the Raiders thought he had. Maybe more than he thought he had. It's not been since December of 08 that he's had a run that long.
And Quan Cosby is being helped off the turf right there. You know, the Broncos came into this game averaging 126 yards a game rushing. They're up to 199 leading off the fourth quarter.
Well,
that's a season high.
You can pad your rushing statistics when you've got a quarterback that can run like Tim Tebow. And there is J.D. Walton, again, another one of the young players that we're looking at today, just a second-year guy from Baylor.
First down at the 22-yard line for Palmer. This is Michael Bush. A couple of tough yards at 28.
You know, as we start this fourth quarter, Greg, we've got a lot of football left to play. It's a tie game, but I'm sure that everyone that's been paying attention realizes that John Fox took a field goal off the board at the end of the first half in an attempt to get another couple plays in, and then Prater missed it. And those are 3 points that the Denver Broncos will see if they miss them when this is over.
Bush just across the 30-yard line. Let's get an update again from New York. JB and Boomer.
Boomer, how many different weapons does Aaron Rodgers have?
Well, I'll tell you, 3 touchdowns on the day. This one to James Jones. He's 18 of 21, 178 yards, 3 touchdowns. They go up over San Diego, 38 to 24.
11:44 left in regulation. Back to Greg and Dan.
Yeah, that Aaron Rodgers is going to have to work on his passing game.
The spinner.
His
Mike's out there.
accuracy is the
29's Mike. Spinner.
thing of beauty.
Dead even on the scoreboard, dead even in total yards on the day. 3rd and 6. Look out. Palmer over the middle and reaching for the first down is Chaz Schillens, and he's going to be about a yard short.
What a job by Carson Palmer of getting rid of that football and delivering a serviceable pass when he's got Von Miller right in his chops. I mean, this pressure, watch Miller. Look at that shifty little move he puts inside, and then he is just right into the midsection of Palmer.
Quan Cosby deep, Shane Leckler. He of the supernova right leg.
Oh, that Denver Bronco got blocked into him. No penalty.
Cosby breaks free and then cut down at about the 15, falls forward to about the 19-yard line. Rock Cartwright is number 25 right in front of him. No flag.
You're watching the NFL on CBS.
When you think about all the things associated with the Oakland Raiders, the Hall of Famers, the great characters, Al Davis, imagine that they have had the 2 greatest punters in the modern era of football in Shane Leckler and Ray Guy.
Shane Leckler had a 77-yard punt in the season opener at Denver. This is McGahee outside to about the 25-yard line. While we have a moment, time permitting after the game, the Subway post-game show. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Subway post-game show. Willis McGahee to the sideline.
And Orlando Franklin is back in the game for the Broncos.
This is Lance Ball. And Ball across the 35 to the 37, and it's a first down.
Boy, and the run defense of the Raiders is really starting to let them down. Denver now 217 yards rushing. When you're giving up over 200 yards in a single game rushing, that is
week 1, 38 rushing yards for the Broncos. At home.
A little bit of an improvement, wouldn't you say?
51.
Tebow from the 37. Keep it on the ground with the ball. And he gets stacked up by Lamar Houston and Michael Huff. Once again, back to New York, JB and Boomer.
Boomer, how many weapons does Tom Brady allow? Make that Brady.
He's going to find Aaron Hernandez off of an Eli Manning interception. That was a game and momentum changer. Right here, Aaron Hernandez as the New England Patriots tied up 10-10.
I guess I was actually thinking of Aaron Rodgers, but Brady wishes he had those weapons. Let's take it back to our guys.
I thought that sounded like an identical lead from JB. It's 2nd and 9.
Go.
Tebow under pressure, trying to spin out of the way. There's a penalty marker down, and he goes down to the 26.
John Henderson and Cameron.
See what John Perry has to say.
Well, John Henderson was, and there goes another flag. Head linesman just threw a flag on John Perry.
Holding.
And a procedure
call too. Yeah.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Both have been declined. Holding, number 78. Illegal formation on the offense. Number 75 did not report as an eligible receiver, was on the end of the line. Both declined.
Well, somehow Ryan Clady dodges his 3rd holding call of the game.
That's the first sack of the day on Tim Tebow. He's been sacked 13 times the last 2 games.
Well, Denver has been very conservative in 3rd and long situation with Tim Tebow to this point.
Watch the play clock, down to 3. And Tebow gonna run it.
And conservative one more time.
And run out of bounds.
Whoa, watch out.
Yeah.
That was close to the sideline.
Yep.
And there comes a flag.
Personal foul. Number 51 of the offense. Late push with the quarterback out of bounds. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
That's just not smart football, Dan.
No, that's Aaron Curry. He's the 2nd guy on your right, and Tim Tebow, again, there's just no reason for that. You got a teammate in front of you. He's pushing him out of bounds. You knew the minute you saw that was going to be very surprising if we didn't see a flag. And you allow them to move the sticks, get an automatic first down. Some penalties are bigger than others.
Diamond. No, got it. Go.
This is a first down play. McGahee trying to turn the corner and out of bounds at midfield. That's about 2 yards short of a first down. So again, a big play on first down.
Yep, and again, I think McGahee's surprising everybody with his quickness and, not only running away from people, but he's getting the corner on a couple different occasions against the Raiders defense. They've lost containment several different times, and Chuck Bresnahan is upset.
Willis McGahee, 17 carries for 119 yards. He had 18 yards in the first half.
And Tebow's got 91 yards.
Go.
Tebow looking for more. Not this time. Lamar Houston led the charge. We take you back to New York, JB and Boomer.
Hey, Greg, here's a different lead. Andy Dalton's pretty good, Boomer.
Oh, he's better than pretty good. How about this? His third touchdown pass of the day. This one to Andre Caldwell. Bengals take the lead, 21-17, and mount a second-half comeback over the Tennessee Titans.
Back to the good listener, Greg Gumbel.
You know, they're going to start to say those Cincinnati Bengals are for real.
They appear to be.
3rd and 4. Tebow going to run it up the middle. And going to be about 2 yards short of a first down.
Well, that move by Tim Tebow, that challenging the middle, the Raiders appear to be all over that. Last couple times he's tried that, he's been getting totally stoned right at the line of scrimmage. There's nothing there for him.
So Britton Colquitt comes on to kick it away to Denarius Moore. Coming up on 8.5 to play here in regulation. Moore from the 9. Back to the 20-yard line. David Bruton with the stop. 8:15 to play in the 4th. We're tied at 24.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Droid Razor. Thin is no longer frail, only at Verizon. Pizza Hut. Right now, get any pizza for just $10, only at your Pizza Hut. And by Toyota.
Aerial coverage of our game here in Oakland provided by MetLife. Thank you, folks. 8 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. We are tied at 24. Carson Palmer and the Raiders from their own 20-yard line. Michael Bush for about 3. And a penalty marker down.
Number 61, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Stefan Wisniewski with yet another Raider penalty.
The 13th of the day.
I don't think they're going to lose their league lead in the department today, Dan.
When your penalty yards are more than you've been able to run it. Again, what a frustrating turn of events this has to be for Hugh Jackson. I mean, seriously.
And when we talked to Coach Jackson about it, it didn't come as a surprise to him.
No. I mean, first of all, Denver's had 8. We got 21 total penalties in this game so far.
52.
Now 1st and 20. Palmer from the shotgun. Throwing sideline pass, and that's complete. Nicely thrown and good catch made by Chaz Schilling at the 25-yard line.
Yeah, because the coverage by Quentin Carter wasn't bad at all. But then, you know, this is a good measure of a quarterback, his ability to throw that deep out. And Carson Palmer put it right onto the hands of Schillings.
15-yard pickup, 2nd and 5. And they'll go back to the ground game with Bush for it. And Bush gets back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe got a half yard before DJ Williams dragged him down.
DJ Williams has been all over the place today for the Broncos. He's been in on a lot of action. Almost had an interception to get this game started.
You know, we made note with Coach Fox. He's got a team of extremes here. There are a lot of really young guys and a lot of older guys, and kind of nobody in the middle to bridge that gap.
Yeah, he's got some age in his secondary.
Minutes 58.
Bailey's 33.
Hey, we're going out there.
38.
25.
Andre Goodman's 33. And then a bunch of kids.
34. Palmer brings it down, rushing, diving for the first down at the 30-yard line, and looks to be about half a yard short.
But Carson Palmer had the awareness of knowing that a hook slide wasn't going to get him anywhere near the marker to move the sticks. I mean, this is giving it up. And that's a good spot of the ball because he was short of the 30 when he went down.
And those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching a game, the NFL on CBS, between the Denver Broncos and the Oakland Raiders. Greg Gumbel along with Dan Deerdorf. We're tied at 24. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except on the West Coast. Eddie Royal is deep for the Broncos. Let's see how far Leckler kicks this one. Oh.
How far enough?
From his own 14, Royal with running room. 40! Eddie Royal to midfield with a blocker in front of him, and there he goes! Eddie Royal with the touchdown! No flags. 85 yards.
Well, we saw that explosiveness from Eddie Royal 4 years ago when he came into the league as a rookie from Virginia Tech. But this is just a case of missed tackles and then Eddie Royal's ability in the open field. And Leckler makes a vain attempt at the very end. And that, you can make the case. You can say, well, did he outkick his coverage? Hey, you can't dumb down a punter. I mean, that was just, he punted that a long way, but it was high, and that's just some missed tackles. Prater.
It's good. Eddie Royal, 85 yards, and with 5:53 to play, Denver grabs a 31-24 lead. Hey, coming this December, a Game of Honor will take you behind the scenes of Army-Navy football. Watch exclusive online episodes at cbssports.com/honor. Incidentally, we are aware there were some words said in the excitement following that Denver touchdown, and our audio picked it up, and for that we apologize.
As this place quieted down after that.
Eric Decker had returned a punt 90 yards against Oakland in the opener of this season.
Well, Eddie Royal, who's had a quiet season to this point, has sure gotten it going today.
Denver down 24-14. They've scored 17 straight points. And this will bounce into the end zone and be covered there for the touchback. Tim Tebow to Eddie Royal. Thank you very much.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Allstate. Shop less, get more. Make one call to an Allstate agent. And by Craftsman. Trust in your hands.
Five minutes, 53 seconds remaining to be played here in the fourth quarter, and the focus shifts now to the Denver defense going up against Carson Palmer, who has thrown 3 touchdown passes and has thrown 2 interceptions today.
And Hayward Bay is on the sideline.
Carson Palmer with time, lots of time. Now running out of time and goes down inside the 10-yard line. Elvis Dumerville, his first sack of the season.
Boy, and that has been a long time coming. Dumerville gets a great jump on the ball. Look at that spin move to the inside. He gets picked up and blocked, but then Carson just absolutely nowhere to go with the football. And he's not going to get away from that pass rush.
Dumerville missed the entire season last year with a torn pectoral.
And after leading the NFL in sacks back in 09 with 17.
And we get a timeout on the field as Denver uses its first here in the second half. While we have a moment, tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and a powerful story about corruption on Capitol Hill. Plus, a look at the life of our own Andy Rooney, followed by a new amazing race, The Good Wife, and CSI Miami. Tonight, only CBS. I think more than anything else, Dan, we didn't know what to expect from this game other than the fact that on the surface, it's an old rivalry, and that can account for an awful lot of things.
Yes, it can. But it's a rivalry that lately has been dominated by the Raiders. And again, with everything at stake for Hugh Jackson's ball club today, a chance to really
Three down,
assert
58
themselves,
spinner.
especially if San Diego
Mike's 55.
follows Kansas City and
55,
loses
58.
today.
Second and 19. Palmer over the middle. He's got his man across the 30 to the 35-yard line. Denarius Moore to first down.
Carson Palmer, this is his first start with the Raiders, but he has got to be so excited about the talent of this young receiving corps. And even though that ball was a little bit behind Moore, he was able to settle down, go back and get it.
He called them a bunch of hungry young guys, his wide receiver. Palmer again, and this one underthrowing Denarius Moore at midfield.
Well, Andre Goodman had his hands all over Moore. The crowd letting the officiating crew hear about it.
Stops the clock with 4:52 to play.
But at the line without a huddle are the Raiders.
2nd and 10. Palmer gets his man at the 45 once again. Denarius Moore. Denarius Moore, 5th-round draft pick out of Tennessee. And Dan, you were wondering all weekend how this kid slid all the way to 5th.
Well, again, you can't watch him play. You can't look at his skill set. You can't look at the way he produces, he performs, he works. And you're going, how did he slide all the way down to the 5th round? I'll tell you one thing about Carson Palmer right now. He's got his juices flowing. It's been a long time since Carson's been out here in the heat of battle, and he's got it going.
Darius Hayward Bay onto the field. Palmer, incomplete.
Well, he's trying to get it to Houshmandzadeh, who couldn't get through cover. It looked like there was a lot of contact.
And
Houshmandzadeh's going, where's the flag?
That's where TJ Houshmandzadeh's strong, his slot play.
Well, that's and again, no, he's, boy, how does that not bring a flag? I mean, Jonathan Wilhite just got a shove on Houshmandzadeh way downfield.
2nd and 10. Setting up the screen. That one bounces off of looked like off of a helmet. Incomplete.
And Von Miller again. Tremendous move to come right up the gut, right at Carson Palmer. Again, he just uses that swim move, and he ends up getting low on Palmer. You know, you got to stay above the waist on a quarterback, but this is Palmer giving a lot of ground, and I think that's a good non-call by the official.
3rd and 10.
4 down. Mike's 52. 52.
Here comes the blitz. They're after Palmer, and the pass incomplete. Awful lot of Broncos coming on that snap.
That's it. Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, got very aggressive. And looking at a 4th down situation where you got the full 10 yards to try to cover. They don't have any choice but to punt.
Quan Cosby is deep, and this is the 3rd straight punt this quarter by the Oakland Raiders. Last time Leckler kicked, Eddie Royal returned it 85 yards. This one they'll let bounce, and they'll take a sideways bounce out of bounds. Hey, this has been pretty good, and there's more to come next week. Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS hits regional action. Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Bills battle Tony Romo and the Cowboys. Dan, you and I will be out in Seattle. Ray Lewis and the Ravens going up against Tavares Jackson and the Seattle Seahawks. Check your local listings. It all begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines.
Well, now Tim Tebow in a situation, can he run out the clock? Can he put together some first downs and move the sticks?
Each team down to 2 timeouts. Denver has rushed for 226 yards today. Willis McGahee. No, Tebow keeps it. Look at Tebow, 40. Midfield and slides down.
Staying in bounds. He wanted to stay in bounds and keep the clock running. And I'll tell you what, they ran that play in the first half and completely surprised the Raiders, and they did it again in the second half. Great ball fake by Tim Tebow, riding his back all the way in to the line before he pulls the ball back out. Just take a look at how long he rides it in there. And you can see that Cameron Wembley, who's got the contained to that side, gets sucked to the inside on that ball fake and gave up a soft corner.
A career-high 119 yards rushing for Tebow, and up the middle is McGahee. McGahee inside the 35, and another first down.
And the Raiders are just being pummeled by the Denver running game. And I mean pummeled. Look at the size of the hole. That's the exact same play that they ran before, only that time he gave the ball to McGahee, and talk about finishing a run. Whoa.
And slow getting off the turf is Matt Giordano, who took that shot from McGahee head on.
Well, remember Matt Giordano? He got hurt in pregame warm-ups 2 weeks ago. He hurt his neck and wasn't able to play. And that certainly didn't help the cause.
Meanwhile, Willis McGahee, 136 yards rushing, 118 in the second half, as you look at the numbers on Tim Tebow and what he's accomplished with his legs today.
Well, you know you're running the football when you got a pair of guys over 100 yards. And right now, Mike McCoy there's a lot of freedom in calling plays when your offensive line is getting it done the way the Broncos are.
Spending a lot of time in the huddle. And 10 seconds now on the clock.
51. Got you.
2, 1. Got the snap away. Penalty marker flies as McGahee tries to turn the corner and is caught from behind by Tommy Kelly. Let's check the flag. It's an defensive penalty against the Raiders.
What has to be, because they left the play go. If it was
offside, defense, number 93, lined up in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
If there's anything on the offense, they would have blown the whistle and stopped the play. Tommy Kelly's in the neutral zone.
Do you think Hugh Jackson would be justified walking into the meeting tomorrow and just throwing penalty flags all over the place?
No, he'd be very justified. That's number 14. I mean, again, you know, that's a pre-snap penalty that's totally needless, lining up in the neutral zone. That's, you know, especially a guy like Tommy Kelly, who's a very veteran player, 8th year.
And they are now, the Broncos are well within Matt Prater's field goal range. McGahee just inside the 25 as we will come up on 2 minutes to play. And John Fox saying, let's not scrum now when victory is within reach.
Well, right, you don't want a penalty stopping the clock.
That would be completely out of character for this game. 2 minutes to play here in Oakland. 31-24 Broncos. We remind you once again, coming up next, 60 minutes here on CBS, except on the West Coast. 2nd and 2.
Denver has scored 24 points here in the second half.
Each team with 2 timeouts remaining. McGahee to the 15, 10, 5, touchdown.
Unbelievable. What a complete trampling of the Raiders' run defense.
24 yards on the sprint to the end zone. And Willis McGahee with 163 yards and 2 touchdowns today.
And the only reason the Raiders didn't give up more than 300 yards rushing is because McGahee wasn't any farther from the end zone when he got the ball. They're at 298.
Prater for the extra point. It's good. And how about the happenings in the AFC West today, Dan?
Well, I don't know how Willis McGahee's right hand is feeling with a plate and some screws in it, but his legs are just fine. And it's not every day that you look at a running play in the National Football League where a guy runs into the end zone and he is not even close to being touched. The only time he was touched was Matt Giordano touching him after he was 5 yards in the end zone. If that was flag football, that would have been a touchdown because no Raider was that close.
Meanwhile, how's this for a turnaround, Dan? In the opening weekend loss to the Raiders, Willis McGahee carried 4 times for 3 yards.
A little difference. And take a look. There is the West. Kansas City was 4-3 going into today. They lost. It dropped them to 4-4. Oakland is losing. San Diego is still in the game with Green Bay, but they're trailing. And Denver will go to 3-5. And if by chance San Diego loses, Denver's right back in it, only a game behind everybody. Now the San Diego Green Bay game is still alive. There's only a 7-point difference in that game in a wild shootout.
And the Oakland Raiders, Dan, are looking stunned.
Well, you just don't, they only giving up 117 yards a game rushing, and in this game they give up nearly 300.
They've been spanked on the ground. This is Jacoby Ford 2 yards deep in the end zone. Oh, he's hit hard and brought down at the 17-yard line. Once again to New York, James Brown and Boomer.
New England offensive magic down the stretch.
Hey, JB, 4th and 8. Tom Brady's going to find Rob Gronkowski 14 yards to put the Patriots up 20-17. Minute and 30 left. Giants have the ball with 2 timeouts left.
Now down to 1:12 left in regulation. Back to Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, we are down to a minute 46
Hey,
in
Mike's out
regulation
there.
here.
29.
But the Oakland Raiders are down 2 touchdowns. And Palmer is down at the 7, courtesy of Von Miller. And we've got a penalty marker down.
Penalty marker is back up. It's downfield, not near the line of scrimmage.
Holding defense, number 29. 5-yard penalty automatic. First down.
Jonathan Wilhite guilty of the hold.
Well, that negates a sack. The interesting thing about Denver running for all these yards, Greg, is, you would think the Oakland Raider defense is crowding the line of scrimmage because they don't fear Tim Tebow's downfield passing. You'd think it would be especially hard to run against a defensive front that's overplaying the run.
29 to Mike.
Been exactly the opposite.
Palmer, this sideline, diving catch does not count. I remember asking Hugh Jackson when we talked to him yesterday, Dan, did you prefer not to let Tim Tebow beat you with his arm or beat you with his feet? And he said, I prefer not to let Tim Tebow beat us.
Yeah, I like Hugh Jackson.
I do too.
I don't know him. Just met him for the first time. Interesting to talk to, and I could see why the players like him, and I see why the Raiders, and I see why
29.
Al Davis gave him the job.
A man who recruited Carson Palmer when Carson was a junior in high school. Palmer throwing over the middle, and that one's across the 40-yard line to the 45 to Lewis Murphy. Clock continues to move, a minute 20 to play, and there's Tim Tebow's number, and now we get a penalty flag.
Delay of game. Number 18, throwing the ball while the ball is in the field of play. The down will count. It'll be first down, 5-yard penalty. 1st and 10 Oakland.
Yeah, Lewis Murphy gets up after making the catch and tries to be a little fancy, spinning the ball, and it ended up going about 7-8 yards downfield.
It might be getting to the point where, all the Raiders want a penalty on their own. From the 40. Palmer up the seam. Nice catch made by Denarius Moore. And that's to the 40-yard line of the Broncos.
Carson once again takes a big hit.
And a penalty marker down
Personal
back there.
foul. Roughing the passer. Number 58, defense. Lowering the head, leading with the crown of the helmet. 15-yard penalty, and an automatic first down.
That's the rookie Von Miller.
And boy,
And he's been close a couple of times today, Dan.
well, that'll get him a FedEx envelope from the National Football League, I think, because he got a good 3 steps at Carson Palmer after Palmer threw that football. That was an easy call for John Perry.
So the Raiders now to the 25 of the Denver Broncos with a minute 12 on the clock. Still each team with 2 timeouts remaining. Palmer, far side of the field, and it is intercepted inside the 10 by Champ Bailey.
Bailey could have gotten up and run with the football. I don't know if he knocked the wind out of himself when he landed on the ball, but he chose to just give himself up.
His second of the day, his 50th interception of his great career.
Again, look at the awareness. You know how Champ Bailey always knows where the football is. He's the one who makes the adjustment on the ball. The Raider receiver keeps right on running. Jacoby Ford just kept running. It was Champ Bailey who makes a play on the football. And once again, Carson Palmer goes down.
And that's why that ball came up short.
That was Von Miller one more time.
So now Tebow and the Broncos with a chance to run out the last 64 seconds on the clock.
Out of the spread formation.
Carson Palmer, 19 of 35 for 332, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And no one's in a hurry to extend this game.
No. The Raiders being 2 touchdowns down, just taking a stance. Let's get out of here. And even though they've got a couple timeouts, let's.
If you're wondering, Tim Tebow, 10 of 21 for 124 yards. And the play clock will expire, and they'll back him up 5 yards. So what's in store for the Denver Broncos?
Well, there's their remaining schedule.
Another AFC West matchup next week at Kansas City.
Well, really a huge one.
That won't be noisy, will it?
No, it won't. And as you can see, though, a pretty tough trio of games here against the Chiefs, Jets, San Diego.
And that will put the wraps on a very impressive victory here today by the Denver Broncos.
And maybe Tim Tebow mania can settle down for a week.
He threw for 124 yards. He ran for 117. And the Broncos come on top 38-24. For Dan Dierdorf and I'm Greg Gumbel. So long from Oakland, California. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes. Powerful story about corruption on Capitol Hill, followed by a new amazing race, The Good Wife, and CSI Miami tonight, only CBS. Thanks for joining us, everyone. For all of us, you've been watching the NFL on CBS. Good night from Oakland.